Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of RiesKitchen. Today I'm going to show you my take on an absolute French classic, and we're going to make chocolate raspberry mousse. There's not too many ingredients, it's a little bit fiddly, but it is so worth it. Let's get straight into it, shall we? So first up we have some fresh raspberries, a good quality dark chocolate, thickened cream and eggs, caster sugar, icing sugar and vanilla, and then to decorate some extra raspberries and chocolate shards. Our first step is to make the raspberry puree. Now I'll be honest, this is the fiddly bit, but it is really worth it to take the time and effort. So into the small bowl here of my food processor, I'm just going to pop our raspberries and just a dollop of that cream. Not much, just a dollop. And it just helps the smoothness of what we're about to do. And I'm just going to puree or pulse that through until it's smooth. So now we're going to push that puree through a really fine sieve into a small saucepan. And as I said, this is the fiddly bit. I find it easier to use a big metal spoon. In my case today, I'm going to be using my risotto spoon just to help push it through the mesh faster. And so now just pushing that through the fine mesh. So we keep going till what we have left is the smallest amount, probably less than a tablespoon, of just the seeds. And don't forget to scrape out down the outside of your sieve, because all of that hard pressed raspberry goodness we want to keep. So I'm going to warm up our raspberry puree just gently. Once it starts to see a little bit of steam coming, turn it off. We certainly don't want this to boil, and it won't take very long. So now I've also got a saucepan which I've put about an inch of water into, and I'm going to pop a large bowl. The bowl needs to sit into the top of your saucepan, but it also can't touch the water because we're going to melt our chocolate in that now. And turn that one on. And just get that up to a simmer and let that chocolate start to melt. So this has just started to bubble and steam, so I'm going to take that off and just put it aside. And I'm going to move my chocolate across into the middle a little bit more and just let that start to melt. So our chocolate is about 70% melted, so I am just going to take it off the heat. Just going to move my bowl over to here, and I'm just going to give it a stir because the heat will finish the melt. So now to make the anglaise part of our mousse. So I have my 3 egg yolks. The whites you can use another day. We'll just add in our caster sugar and just about a tablespoon of warm water. Seems odd, but over the same pot that you were melting the chocolate with. And we're going to whisk this continuously for about 8 minutes. You'll see the change in texture as we go, and it's to give us that wonderful richness in our mousse. So as we whisk this, you'll notice it'll start to go paler in colour. And when now we've kind of got these drips coming, we'll end up with a nice thick creamy that'll give you just ribbons coming off your whisk. So despite the fact that my arms are falling off, the clock says I'm not even halfway yet in my 8 minutes. It's starting to go pale, but it's certainly not thick enough. So we keep whisking. Well, we've been going for about 5 minutes and it's starting to thicken, as you can see from how it's dripping. But it's not quite a ribbon yet. We're not quite thick enough. Here we go. There's our 8 minutes. And now I have one steady stream coming off my whisk. So I'm going to turn the heat off and just take my bowl off the gas. and I have a lovely, thick, luscious mix. So now we get to put these 3 sets of ingredients together. So first up, let's go with our chocolate. And then let's pour this lot in. How luscious is that? Look at that. All right, so now we're going to add our raspberry. Now the next stage is to do our cream. So I'm just going to pop it into this tall jug, along with a dash of vanilla and some icing sugar. And I'm going to whip it now to a stiff peak. So my last step is to add the whipped cream into our wonderful chocolate mix here. So I'm just going to put in about half. We don't want any lumps of cream, but we don't want to overmix it either. And now for the rest. So whatever dish that you choose, I know that this is going to be about 4 of my tablespoons here. Trying hard not to get any on the edge, which I fail on the first one, but see how we go. The hard part is always in the waiting, and these now have to go into the fridge for at least an hour to set. Now for all the details, don't forget to check out my blog at the link below, but as always, the best bit's in the eating. The raspberry hits. And then as the mousse melts on your tongue, the rich and lusciousness of that chocolate comes through. As my dinner guests last night came back for seconds, I am sure you and your family will love this one. Until next time, everybody, ciao.